Hello and welcome to What We're Watching. It's Catherine.
And Liz.
And John.
So Liz, we had quite an adventure.
Oh, right.
We went out this week to the theater, the four Kilmon sisters, and saw Book Club, the next chapter.
Yes. Our youngest sister, Virginia, rallied the troops, which...
I love when she does that.
Yeah, no, I love it too. I didn't see the first chapter of the book, so...
Neither did I.
So
but I was still like, okay, that's fine.
So I had no clue. John, have you ever seen the book club?
I have not.
You never know with John. He can surprise you.
Well, he does see a lot.
I would like to see it eventually.
So I guess the first book club came out in 2018?
Yeah, I did just look that up. And
That's
I was
a big break.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, we did have a big pandemic in the middle.
So you had a lot of time to read.
Yeah. And then, they did address that at the top of the movie. They did a big, long sequence about
a Zoom bit.
Yeah. A lot of old people jokes trying to deal with technology. And
one of our sisters sitting next to me goes, this is all going to be about them having to do the book club on Zoom. I can't take this. I said, I don't think that's what this is going to be about. Calm down.
I mean, it was a significant part of the opening, but then it was over. Then they decide that they're all going to go to Italy. Wait, on a side note, speaking of chatting during the movie, so we're in a movie theater, and I will say there was quite a bit of Kilmon sister chatter.
The two in between us are chatterboxes.
Oh, is it not you?
No,
okay.
I shushed them numerous times, and I will admit, I shockingly can be talkative in a movie, but I was like, holy crap, and not at a whispering level.
No, it was almost like not full volume, but close. I mean, both of them.
I could not.
I thought you were more involved.
No,
I was on the other end.
Innocent.
Okay, because I was just not engaging at all.
Making me like. Then what annoyed me was one of them would say something and the other one would really laugh, and because I wasn't really participating, I couldn't hear them. Like what, and I shouldn't be asking what. So it's just a horrible dynamic. That's like our mother in church all through our childhood. So it's like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't be talking. Don't talk. Shh.
The first thing my husband said when I said there was quite a bit of talking, he was like, well, how full was the theater? Meaning like, how annoying were you guys? It was not very full.
No, I think for a Monday night, she dragged us out on a Monday night, which I really give her points for that. So Monday night, but anything, there's homework to be done. Let me get the hell out of this house. Sure, I'll go. So it was a Monday night, a 7 o'clock or 7:30 showing. I mean, it was more than halfway full.
Yeah, but I meant like at least it wasn't packed where we were.
Right.
There was no one on either side of us. And then I don't know if there was someone directly behind us. I feel like there was not. And it's pretty spacious, this theater. Oh my God. And we were that row that has like the big walkway in front of it. So we were kind of, but still,
I don't know.
I was a little uncomfortable. I was like, oh my God, I feel bad.
Like I said,
no one seemed to care.
I tried to shush it, but then I was actually trying to hear. So it was a really bad combination for me. So the book club is 4 girlfriends. That's why the 4 of us went to go see it. Diane Keaton plays Diane. Real stretch with her name.
Jane, and very much like her character.
No.
Yeah.
Very much.
Okay.
I mean, what? Diane Keaton. And the outfits. I mean, I love Diane Keaton, but it was like, how did they even pay you for this? I mean, this is like zero stretch whatsoever. I mean, this was even the semi-emotional moments, didn't go that deep. So it was like, wait, we'll get to my theory. So Jane Fonda, Vivian,
right?
Candice Bergen, Sharon, retired judge, Your Honor. And then Mary Steenburgen, Carol, is, I think, in real life about a decade younger than all of them.
Okay.
So, and she came off a little young and sprite in comparison.
Compared to,
But of course, Jane Fonda is the overtly sexual one. And, someone's finally trying to get her to the altar at like 80 something. And she still can't decide if she wants to go to the altar. I just said, just for the medical benefits alone. And just like, I mean, just to be able to like the last few years of your life, not have any complications. And it was Dawn Johnson.
I know.
Babe.
Yeah. Okay. I did have to look it up because I was like, wait, what's the age difference? Because I didn't see the first one, but there was a line or two in this one that it was like, oh, we almost were together in high school or something like that. And then we found each other later. I'm like, are you two supposed to be the same age? Because you are not. Dawn Johnson is 73 and Jane Fonda is 85, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yeah.
Now
and
listen,
it was noticeable to me.
Well, I mean, whoever did her wig, I don't think did her any justice because it was too harsh of a color. Rosie, our sister, was so distracted by it. That's what she talked about half the movie, John. She's like, oh, her wig. Oh,
Yeah,
it's too bright.
styling wise, it was not great.
Well, our
for
sister
her.
has had various shades of red hair throughout her life, so she can really judge a redhead. It was like scarlet red. I mean, it was alarming.
It was a little weird.
I think it's like they need to do a little longer jacket on her because she's so thin. It's like, give us a little more body in the jacket. Need to do lighter makeup and a softer wig. I mean, it was just very harsh. And I don't know if that's the character. She's some ex, like, works at a casino or something. I mean, it was very, very...
Like a showgirl?
Yeah, she was very brash is the
Yeah.
best word. But, solid performance as always. I feel like, listen, all of them, this is my theory. It goes back to this. To get a job during COVID, this age as a woman, the 4 leads are all women over 60 years old. And they got to film it in like Rome. Hell
Yeah.
yes. I
I
mean,
mean,
what are you going to say no to a job like that?
Of course not.
So they all, of course, they're like, yes, book club, the next chapter, I'm going to go. So, I mean, I totally get it. Ironically, I saw, John, what's that Brady movie? What was the title of that?
What?
80 for Brady.
I thought you were talking about Brady Bunch, and I was very confused.
No, the 80 for Brady movie that also had 4 elderly women in it as leads. That like made me laugh out loud and honestly like almost cry. Mm-hmm. This was like,
It
okay.
didn't quite do that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy we went to the movie theater. I thought they all gave pretty fun performances and like how great to have the gig and it looked beautiful. There was something that happened that I did actually speak, John, during. I did have to lean over to Rosie, my sister, and say, if they're going to keep putting them in jeopardy and being taken advantage of, I'm not going to enjoy this movie.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
And luckily, they kind of didn't go that way.
Yeah,
because,
that wasn't the real point of it. Yeah.
Right, because there are quite a few love interests in it, You have gorgeous Andy Garcia.
Yeah, that's Diane Keaton's beau.
Yeah, where she... What do you call him? I mean, girlfriend, boyfriend? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. I mean, just so flustered constantly. You're like, okay. Don Johnson was all wrapped up with Jane Fonda. And that's really the arc of it. It's her bachelorette. It is the quickest. It's like a weekend in Rome. I mean, Rosie and I said, if that was one whole day, I would be deliriously tired. They did so much for like oxygenarians. Like it's like
I think it's octogenarian, not oxygen.
no. I said that because they needed oxygen. They were so. It was so ridiculous how long their days were because they didn't change outfits. Like Jane Fonda's outfit, like you're like that's the same outfit all day. One of her outfits was like a complete plaid. Like, are you going to a Christmas party? I don't understand what's happening here, but it was so crazy because it was like that is so much to cram into one day.
Yeah.
You'd be exhausted. Like they landed and it was like nonstop for 12 hours.
I know.
It was
Okay,
too
so
much.
wait, I have one pet peeve that I have to bring up. And
Yes.
it involves a spoiler. Do you think that's okay? It's a minor spoiler.
Yes, John, plug your
Because
ears.
it's pretty obvious when it's happening.
Yes.
That their luggage is going to get stolen.
Oh.
I mean, it's like so obvious when it's like, oh, these very nice porters are going to help us at
In
the
the
train
train,
station. And then their luggage is like mysteriously gone. It's like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, even when you're watching the scene, you're like, oh, no. And I think that's actually when you were like, uh-oh, if this movie is about taking advantage of old
because
people.
I agree with you. We saw that coming. Oh, no, ladies. Okay, all right. And like she's tipping him, and I'm going, oh boy. It was the scene when they're at the hotel bar in Venice. And the Osmond, beautiful actor. What a gorgeous man. Holy
Yeah,
moly.
what's his name?
Hugh Corsi, I think is his name.
All right. Yeah, he was great.
The character, played by Candace, is showing him her secret fanny pack with money and passport. I'm going, oh, God, why are you showing a stranger that? And it really made me nervous for like the next 10 minutes. She was about to get robbed.
Yes.
So-
and
taken
luckily that
advantage
is
of.
not the direction that the story
so that
was going.
is spoiler alert. Sorry, people. And I do not think they even meant for that to happen in that scene.
I don't think they thought we were going to think that.
We're getting nervous. The gentlemen, and they all were of a certain age, a lot of them were, very, and of course, Craig T. Nelson.
Yeah. Mhm.
They were great. All
Yeah.
of them. I mean, I love, there's this moment when the character Carol, played by Mary Steenburgen, runs into an old flame.
Yeah, reunites with an old flame accidentally.
Yes. But the memory is he has a big set of meatballs. So they're very excited to run into each other.
He's a chef, and we were actually talking about meatballs, but there were a lot of meatball jokes that it was not meatballs. Yeah.
And this is another spoiler alert. We kind of think she's going to have some infidelity with this guy. And I'm just going to say, one of my sisters leaned over like, I mean, who would know? I'm like, wow. And I kind of was like, I agree. So, but, no. And I will give a special shout out to the wedding planner.
Yeah.
I don't know if
he was a scene stealer.
Yeah, I don't know if he channeled father of the bride. He went like, you can take the small part. Giovanni Esposito. I mean, talk about, I agree with you, the little scene stealer. I mean, he was just great. And the musicians in that scene, and they're
oh my gosh, yeah.
They're overall, it was a delightful little evening out with my sisters.
Is it a perfect movie? No, but it was still fun.
But
wait,
and I'm happy it was in the movie theaters.
Yes, I agree. Again, to your point, I'm happy they got to make it and got to go to Italy and. Fantastic. Okay, back to my spoiler / problem.
Yeah.
No. It was their luggage got stolen.
Right.
And then there's one line when they get to the hotel that's like, the boutique is expecting you. And from that moment on, all 4 ladies are now dressed exactly in their own style, as if this boutique in this little hotel had Diane Keaton clothing, had clothing that was like appropriate for it made me insane.
Because they really
I was like,
did
just
have
give them back their luggage. Who even cares? Story-wise, it was too distracting for me. It's like, where did all these clothes come from? Because otherwise...
And they were very relaxed as women to have lost their luggage. Like, you just roll with it. Life is what it is. Who cares? No way in hell.
I mean, the amount of...
The medication.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, they're a certain age. The medication alone, I hope they were carrying.
I was going to say, yeah, also Jane Fonda, the amount of makeup she was wearing, like where she would have died with all her makeup got stolen. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, so just plot-wise, it would have worked slightly better for me if it was like, it got stolen temporarily. We got it back. Now it's okay that you're all wearing your own clothes again. Because style-wise...
They didn't want a bunch of old lady clothes. Oh, how insulting. There, problem solved.
Oh, yeah, that would have been good.
We found it around the block. And I mean, the detective, I was really thinking the judge and the detective were going to hook up, but they never paid that off.
I think they're like, what's the next chapter? Are we going to do another one of these?
I mean, God bless them. I hope they're all still alive. I mean, you go another 5 years. I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm not even being rude. I mean, it's just like to travel, like that is a lot. They got
production. Yeah.
They can't be going out of the country. They got to do it right here. But they are all incredible actresses. They just can deliver. They're pros. But I will say, Diane Keaton's last look in the film was like, did you just take that from your own closet? It really almost took me out. I was like, this is too much.
That whole wedding dress sequence was very odd. I mean, whatever. Anyway, okay. So that's Book Club, the next chapter. All right. I also watched Sweet Tooth. It's on Netflix.
I started to watch the first season because I thought it was going to be maybe a family show.
I thought it could have been okay for a family, particularly for season 1. How far did you get on it?
We got a couple episodes into it. And, this is the problem with like prepubescent teens. And at the time, that's what my son was. They can get like so irritated by other kids. So it was like the lead, which is like Gus, right?
Yeah.
He was like, he's so annoying.
Okay.
And it didn't help that they're like half creature, half human. So he could not. Well, the first season I loved. I mean, it's beautifully done. Oh, gorgeous. Yeah.
It's kind of not real. It's got so much of a fantasy quality because it's a post-apocalyptic thing, but not like This Is Us, where it's all like very real and scary and terrible.
Right.
This is like, yeah, everything has gone very badly, but for some reason, things are beautiful. I mean, like, looking. The situation is very bad. Most people are dead, and the children that are being born are all hybrids, like animal hybrids.
Right.
Okay, so it's a strange situation, and season 1, you really only have this one hybrid kid that you're kind of focusing on.
That's Gus, right?
Yes, that's
And he's
Gus.
half human, half deer.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Which, like, gosh, what animal would I want to be?
Yeah. And I don't think they ever really explain like how that's happening. I mean, there's a virus that killed everybody and also caused this hybrid thing to happen.
Right.
So then there's these bad guys who are like real dialed up bad guys. It is based on a graphic novel or a comic book. So it does make sense that it's like not feeling very real. So season 1, really good. Loved it. Very excited to watch season 2. Watch out. There are so many hybrid kids in it. It was kind of a problem.
They couldn't wrangle it. Geez, where's Eddie? I mean, come on.
I did have a little bit of a problem because, kid actors, it's hard to find really good kid actors. Now you're adding this other layer. And some of them were really good. There's like 2 in particular, the kid Gus, and then there's another one that was in season 1 who I think she is like a hybrid of like a pig. She's got a little snout nose. And
is her name Bear or is that...
No, that's somebody else.
I'm trying to remember, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's the Animal Army. I think that's who that person is.
Okay.
So those 2 younger actors, very good. This second season, I think there's 10 or more. It's a lot of kids.
Is that almost, sometimes you feel like, is that then hard to keep track? Even story wise, you can't almost service all those characters.
Yeah, the way they were doing it, they were all sort of captured, and so they're together.
Okay.
So they don't have individual storylines that they're really trying to deal with.
All these animals get along?
Yes, they do, but it's just very challenging. So that element of it, I didn't love so much, but I'm still very interested in how they're going to work the story out. And they did just get greenlit for a season 3.
I know. Good
so
for
it's
them.
season 3 and final is what they're saying online. So I'm very intrigued to see how it's going to go. And, I'm sure it's based on whatever they did with the graphic novel, the comic book. So, maybe if I wanted to cheat, I could read it and see. But the story is very interesting, and I'll be interested to see where it goes for season 3. So I'm glad I watched season 2, but it was challenging. And where they left it is now they're separating from this big group of kids. So I was like, oh, good. I'm sorry to say I don't need to see all of these kids every episode. This is not great. So now I think we're going to go off in a different direction with the story, and we'll see what happens for season 3. But season 1 really was pretty amazing.
Well, yeah. I mean, the first episode has one of my favorites, Will Forte, in it.
Oh, he was so good. Yeah.
And he does not last, but you're like, oh. But then the character that comes in, I love that actor. He plays the character Tommy.
Oh, Big Man.
Yes.
Just Big Man is what Gus calls him.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. He is fabulous.
Oh, he's really good. He just showed up on Ted Lasso the other day as Sam Obasanya, one of the main soccer players, football players. It's his dad. So in one of the most recent episodes, he was Sam's dad, and he was, humongous and delightful. And
he was in Game of Thrones as well. So.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, Sweet Tooth, I'm interested to see where it goes. So, and I finished.
It's giving you a toothache currently.
Okay. And last for me, I also watched Hannah Gadsby's newest stand-up special.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Something Special. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. I mean, I'm not unique in that opinion. People love her. This special is great. She recently got married, and her wife actually is her producer and directed this special. It's so good. It went by really quick. Like, it's an hour plus-ish, but it felt like 20 minutes.
And this is her
It was so
second Netflix special?
I think it's her third. She did Nanette, Douglas, and then this one.
Oh, so 3. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, just so you know, like, who are you talking about? Hannah is an Australian comedian, writer, and actor, and really got American notoriety because of these Netflix specials.
Yeah, that first one, Nanette, really blew up. People were like, who is this?
Right.
And then this third one, I didn't realize it was coming out, and it just popped up on my Netflix page, and I was like, oh yes, please end right now. So I watched it like the second I saw it, and I think it had only been up like a day. Yeah, so Hannah Gadsby, Something Special on Netflix. Okay, so John, you want to go next?
Sure. So I watched, apparently maybe some other people watched this too, on Netflix, The Mother.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, for Mother's Day, I had to watch it.
Yes,
No, just kidding.
J-Lo.
That is not why we watched it. How dare you? But yes, Jennifer Lopez is kind of whatever. She's a badass, whatever she is. I'm not sure if she's a killer or an assassin, but she's serious. So directed by Nikki Caro, also of Whale Rider and North Country. So a little bit of an action tip, which was different. She was trying to, do some black market deals with Joseph Fiennes and also Gael Garcia Bernal, and it did not all go very well.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that she was not a nice character. She was a sniper in I don't know which branch of the military and was trying to set up her next step. I think she says
seemed to have nefarious elements to it.
And she was totally down with that. She was like, this is my skill and maybe I can move some arms or do whatever, But then they crossed a line and then she had to get out.
Well, also, they started doing things behind her back, which was not cool.
Yeah, because she brought them together. She was the connector. Well, the way it opened up, she's being interrogated. And, you're like, ooh, gosh, she's such a badass. And, you don't realize that it's 15 years prior. So when they do the reveal that she's pregnant, like, hi, the mother, I said to my husband, I go, oh my God, God loved Jennifer Lopez. Her last movie, she was a bride. And this one, she's a mother. And this is, that she just... But it made sense because then they fast forward 15 years and then she pretty much kind of is closer to the age she is today. Because I was like, wow, like we're just going to... What's next? You're going to play a high schooler? I mean, it's awesome.
I don't know. I will say that whole first sequence, really, I was not sure. I was like, this seems like it's not going to go in a good direction. A lot of people just died. I mean, Omari Hardwick, I love him. He seemingly maybe isn't going to make it. That's not good. You just got stabbed in the pregnant stomach. So you're obviously not a badass. And then you put yourself on fire. So, but then apparently none of that was really the case. And she was fine. It all worked out fine.
Yes. I mean, she is a producer on this, and it's probably underneath her sort of, shingle. And Elaine Goldsmith Thomas is her producing partner. And I think it goes back to the movie that she did that she got, tons of accolades for, which was Hustlers. And I mean, that was so successful. It sort of really has launched her in this direction. So, you had to suspend with John's like a lot.
This was no, it was just that first setup was like, oh, things are not going well and like the worst possible things are happening and how would we get out of this? And whatever, it sort of worked to get out of it. But then after that, it was slightly less, crazy.
Well, I mean, the sacrifices she has to make as the mother to protect her child and live in that horrible little,
she signed a piece of paper. What was the big deal?
Yeah, the cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere, which never managed to furnish it very nicely. I mean, it really was like...
That wasn't her priority. So,
no, her priority was being a badass, still always trained, always ready, and still looking very hot for there's no way she had like nice face ointments or anything. I mean, it's like harsh conditions because it looks like she was like in deep Alaska or something.
I will say, yeah, they were in Alaska, which was shocking how they would go back and forth to Alaska.
It's an easy jaunt.
A couple times that happened.
There was no plane rides that we ever got to see, so I don't know how they got there.
But also, they kept that door open a lot. I was like, isn't it freezing out there? Why is this door open and you're taking off your jacket? I don't understand. And there's a lot of windows in this cabin. I don't...
She is of a certain age. I'm just going to say she probably was having hot flashes. I mean, Alaska cannot cure you of a hot flash. Like, it's open every damn door and window. Jennifer Lopez. I mean, I did think it was beautifully shot. Director did a great job. The action sequences were pretty impressive. It was another one I remember turning to, I think just Mark and I watched it. Ethan watched it and went, what? No.
I'm out.
He wasn't watching it with us because I think he saw the teenage girl Zoe and he was just like, I can't deal. I'm like, okay.
How did you do with the teenage girl?
She only had one or two moments that were like annoying to me. Otherwise, for a teenager in complete jeopardy, I thought she handled it fine. Like,
yeah, writing wise, I'm glad they didn't go so far into, oh, she's a giant pain in the ass. There was a sequence where she's going to train her up that felt very much like Hannah, you know,
Yes.
so you're like, oh, we're out in the woods and we're now going to learn how to protect ourselves, you know?
yeah. And this actress, I never believed she'd be able to pull that off. I mean, I will say that. There was like, you're not going to be a Hannah. You're not going to be a little Nikita. Like, it's like, I don't know about
I don't know. She was pulling off the sharpshooting stuff, I thought.
It was an interesting montage because you really didn't feel the passage of time. But then they said it was months, which would kind of make sense for her to develop some skills. But it was an interesting version of that.
I did have one call out that, you know, because when I watch a movie like this at home, there's a lot of pause button and commenting.
Oh, yeah.
But not in a movie theater.
No, in the movie theater, if I know nobody is around me paying for a ticket, I don't subject them to my commentary. My own husband, tough shit.
Yeah, I would say just from our girls' experience of watching together, the four of us, we should just watch in a living room. We should not be allowed in a theater together, the four of us. Okay, sorry, go on.
One of my favorite sequences where I was like, the budget. That snowmobile sequence that was like, first of all, where the hell they all come from? I mean, like, it was, I know they rolled into town, but it was like so over the top, so crazy. I mean, these guys were like Olympic sport level snowmobilers. It was like, and the outfits they had prepared. I mean, they came to take her down and they all then still didn't succeed in that. But it was like that whole sequence was like, oh my God, there's so many of them. It's like ants. Like, it's just not stopping.
They did do a confusing thing where they showed this first team with the leader, and then there was a second team that was like, this must be a second team because it's not the same people, or this is different.
And you know what else? I'm sorry. You cannot have a frozen lake and nobody walks across it.
I was waiting for that.
Right. And no one walks across it without either falling in or cracking, and you're not sure if you're about to fall in, and the tension.
No, it's just frozen solid.
Yeah, just
don't worry
frozen
about
solid. I was like, oh gosh, why do we even need it? But J-Lo looked fantastic, and I actually thought, like, man, if you're her producing partner, her manager, you must be like, hell yeah, because she just delivers. She just delivers. I mean, solid performance, pretty believable, except for the fact like you're just gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
I mean, honestly,
all those hard winters in Alaska had no effect on you.
Well,
but
it reminded me of that movie Lou with Allison Janney, where it's like that's more realistic. You look a little
Lou beat up. I mean, Lou looked like she had fucking had it with the environment. I mean, Jennifer had a nice
She
glow.
still had like long, beautiful hair. You're like,
Oh, come on. It was
Okay.
obviously not professionally styled.
maybe not, but still, I feel like just cut it off. I mean, there was one sequence where she's like on a motorcycle and it's like whapping around behind her. It's like, really?
She looked
you
really
can't put
good.
it in a ponytail?
She looked
What's
good
happening?
on that motorcycle?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, that helmet was for her daughter, okay?
All right. Okay.
Because she is the mother. She needed to protect her child.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
Okay, yeah, you don't have anything else?
Now, if I thought about it, I probably could.
No.
Okay, fine. Another one that I saw in the movie theater, but is now available on streaming, I think it's on Amazon Prime, was Air.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, look, Matt Damon.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
J-Lo to Ben Affleck. Interesting.
Oh, wow.
John.
Interesting,
Okay,
John.
now start your review.
Yeah, and with bad hair for Ben Affleck.
Oh, no.
Although not as bad as the real life person, of course. So, look, they're developing Nike for basketball for Michael Jordan. It's very interesting. It's fun. It's not amazing. You enjoy moments of it, but there's definitely, Matt Damon, he's supposed to be like a gambler. Also like knows the most about basketball, and there wasn't enough of that for me. And, they were doing this thing where, you were basically not going to see Michael ever. They showed 40 seconds total real game footage from, back when he was in college.
Oh, okay.
And that was, an interesting choice, and maybe not enough. They were definitely going with this is about the business, not about the game. But it was also great. I mean, it was like, I think I might be misremembering, but it was like that rookie draft was going to be John Stockton, Charles Barkley, and Michael Jordan. It was like, that's a crazy amount of people in there. I didn't fully know the story behind it, and obviously there might have been some slips in there, but to see that story kind of come to life was pretty fun.
I had heard recently, because this movie coming out, that really it's his mother, who was played by Viola Davis. That's who was most instrumental in him getting the deal that he got. Oh. Is that true?
Yeah, well, they did a version of that. She was like kind of the person who was negotiating all these things and not having Michael negotiate them. And she was, truly knowing the value and pushing for things that beyond. And
how amazing.
Yeah. So for his side, Michael's side, absolutely.
So interesting. Yeah, because I think I don't know what the number was, but the statistic was something crazy. Like today, every day, still, he makes like this crazy amount of money from those shoes. It's
like
$1 million a day, or like, it's crazy. I don't even know what it is, but it's a lot.
And I don't quite remember. They did a stat at the end that was like the first year was 168 million. It was like, wait a minute, what? The first year, because he doesn't win a championship in the pros for another 8 years.
Wow.
So it was like, wait a minute, that first year sold that much? So I could be getting that a little bit wrong, but it was pretty amazing.
What an interesting story. Yeah. Okay. So,
and was this produced by Ben and Matt's new production company?
Yes, it was. Kind of a Actors Equity, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
Putting them more towards the forefront of that.
Well, it had a lot of good buzz. I had quite a lot of girlfriends and people talking about it, so it's on my radar to watch. I remember reading an article about it, just in the sense of Nike being the running shoe company. And they realized they had to get into this basketball game. And at the time, now Nike is so synonymous with every sport, but for sure was not a basketball shoe. And most deals were made with the pros that had established careers. So to take a rookie was this very risky, as you said, he's gambler.
Well,
move.
Yeah, and I forget if they said they were number 3, but it was like they were in basketball, but no one cared. And they also, were not truly, it was also, at that point, basketball shoes were, still Converse All-Stars. They were not exactly,
Zero arch support. Horrible.
They were fine. They were All-Stars. They were 4 All-Stars.
Okay.
But, so one of the big swings that they really took, which they spend a lot of time on this in the movie, which is interesting, but it was like, instead of splitting the amount of money, because okay, we got these rookies coming in, we could get them early for less, so we'll do 4 or something. And, because everybody's trying to, well, the first one's going to go to Adidas, or the second one's going to go to Converse, or whatever it is. And they're like, okay, who could we get? So the big move was what if instead of multiple, we just give all the money to Michael?
It worked out.
It really did.
For everybody.
Really worked out.
So is Viola's character, Michael Jordan's mom, is she the original momager? She brokered that deal. Does she get 10%? I hope to God. I don't know if she's still alive, but she deserves 10%.
Yeah, they showed a clip. Towards the end, they were kind of wrapping up and showing some of the, contemporary. And it was one of the things, I forget if it was during a montage where they were talking about, I think it was Matt Damon was kind of look, in the future, they're going to try and tear you down. And some of the stuff that I was first of all, I was a little too young, but it was wow, a lot of crazy stuff did happen, Michael. This is not fun. But then they showed a speech that he gave where he was thanking his mother, and this was kind of, I think, after he retired from the pros, or I don't know, something. And so he obviously, really valued her, and she carried that weight throughout his career.
Well, God bless her. She's still alive, 81 years old.
Oh, wow.
So she's got to see all that success come to fruition, which is pretty awesome. That's amazing. All right, well, I'm going to watch John based on your recommendation. Are you going to watch the book club based on ours?
Oh, yeah, you should.
Eventually. I don't know when, though.
Oh, my God.
We'll report back when you do.
Oh, my goodness.
That seems unlikely. So also in the theaters, but still in the theaters.
Yeah.
Catherine, I know you're very excited. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I haven't seen any of them, even though they look very fun.
I just saw it, too.
Yeah, Catherine, what are you waiting for?
God, it's too much. The Marvel Universe is too much. I can't do it. I can do Thor. I only do Thor.
Oh, and God, I don't blame you. I want to do him, too. He's so good. He's so gorgeous. Also, Fat Thor was one of the best twists in the Marvel.
Depressed, sad Thor.
Oh, my God, the best. Oh, yeah, sorry, depressed, sad Thor.
All right, so look, there has been crossover with Thor and the Guardians, but that's not what we're talking about right
That's
now.
one of the best
I know.
That is one of the best scenes where they basically compare their lordship versus their god status.
Well, yes, and that all of the team thinks that Thor is a better, either looking or whatever, and, poor Star-Lord is right there.
I saw it too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it is, Guardians has been kind of this, a little bit of a specific, separate thing than the whole rest of, Avengers or, Marvel stuff. And people love the first one so much, and they like the second one. And this one is, on that same page, and maybe not quite as magical as the first one, but still very good. And it's also such a weird corner of the, Marvel universe, because they're out in space with weird stuff. And there's constantly, like, we're going to this planet or starbase or whatever. And it's in this one, it's made of flesh. And you're like, what?
Oh, that was so gross.
Really kind of gross. But we're going to embrace that in the Guardians.
No.
So Guardians is constantly doing stuff like that. And then there's, the whole other thing, which this movie ends up being a lot about Rocket, maybe Raccoon, and where he came from, which is also gross and weird.
His origin story. And Bradley Cooper does the voice.
He did not do all the young voices, but yes.
Oh, the young voice, yeah. No, that was not the deep, mature voice. You needed to get a very young, youthful, potentially raccoon voice.
He's not a raccoon. Oh, he is definitely a raccoon.
But that's one of the ongoing jokes since the first, hey, what's that beaver? Hey, little rabbit, like getting what kind of species he is wrong. But almost to what you just said, John, because of the Avengers, when the Guardians of the Galaxy crossed over into that world, there were things that happened to them that sort of broke up the band a bit. And this one dealt with some of the aftermath of it in, a unique way.
Well, yes, because Gamora is not the same Gamora that we started with.
Right.
Because that one...
Multiverse.
Yeah, died, and we got
this
new
is why
one.
it's too much.
It really is.
They're all connected, and then you have to know things from other movies. Oh, jeez.
They eventually explain it. You'll be fine.
All right.
Well, James Gunn just zeroed in on this sort of rabble group within the Marvel universe and said, I can make a separate universe outside the Avengers that will appeal to people. It's really about the outcasts.
Yeah.
Led by Chris Pratt's character, Peter Quill, Star-Lord. It's the misfits, it's the outcasts that have to come together to form their own family. One of my favorite characters is Drax.
Oh, yeah. He's very funny.
Bautista is just so much fun of sort of what you anticipate or think he's going to react, and he does the opposite. It's great. So, it seems there's gonna be more, but maybe not the Guardians of the Galaxy this way.
Definitely not. Yeah, there's no more Guardians of the Galaxy because this was James Gunn's swan song.
Right.
He's now ensconced at DC.
I still will say, how did DC take him away from Marvel? That is money, honey.
Well, you remember there was that whole thing after Volume 2, but there was already a script for Volume 3, and then it all fell apart, and so he was gone. Then he was like, well, I'm going to go do Suicide Squad at DC, and then now eventually had him come back for Volume 3, but, that relationship, I guess, soured to a degree.
Well, I just had to look it up that Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, was 2014, because I did see the first one, I'm now recalling, which is why I did have such a good memory of the Drax character and Root and, Karen Gillan. And so I have that, but then I skipped, and now it's too much.
It's really not. But look, the very sad thing is Peter Quill, Star-Lord's mother, Laura Haddock, our favorite assassin or whatever from The Recruit, did not make an appearance.
Oh, no.
That was very sad. But look, we went to, a different version of Earth. We had Nathan Fillion. We got a lot of stuff.
All right.
You should see it for sure.
Okay.
Well,
do I need to see 2?
Yes.
And then what other movies
and then
do I need
need to watch
see?
4 or 5 of the Avengers. Okay. I'm like, there's so...
No, just roll into it.
What about the Christmas special?
Oh,
I still haven't seen it.
That was great, and that was sort of a standalone. You can watch that, but it should be during Christmas season. That's with Kevin Bacon.
I'll do it next year during Christmas.
And we need Eddie here to, because I think if you try to watch all these things, in some sort of order, it's 40 movies or something crazy, to make everything line up.
Stop making this point. That is not not
sorry.
helping Catherine.
Just watch the Christmas special. You'll be fine.
Sure, watch 2 things, and then you can watch this. You'll be
Okay,
good
perfect.
to go.
Okay, is that it for you, John?
How dare you? Liz, take it away.
Boom. All right, so geez, I basically watched everything you guys were all watching, but I did start the Queen Charlotte.
Oh God, I'm watching that too.
Oh, good Lord. The
All crossovers.
Yes, The Queen Charlotte on Netflix, which is a spinoff of Shonda Rhimes' Bridgerton.
Right. I think the official title is Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story.
Sure. Throw the Bridgerton in there as well.
Just so
bring
you
us
make
all
sure.
in. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, so Bridgerton had 2 seasons, was very much a big success. There is a character that is the Queen Charlotte in it. And they have decided to basically, or Shonda decided, let's make the origin story of showing, how she became queen, how she behaved with the young King George, and how she formed her court, and the budget, like to say that. I mean, the sets, the opulence, the costumes, holy moly. And I do think the young actress that plays Queen Charlotte, India Armatifio, is so well cast opposite the adult,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who is from the first 2. And I was a little worried. I thought, oh my gosh, are we not going to get, because the original Queen Charlotte was so good that I thought, oh, are we just not going to see her? We're just going to have this youthful version. No, they're going back and forth in time. I mean, I really like that device as well. Don't you?
There's a lot of intercutting between the Bridgerton timeline,
right,
where Queen Charlotte is like probably in her 50s or whatever, and has apparently had 13 children or some insane number. I mean, like, this is semi-historical, and then they've done their own Bridgerton
big twist.
Spin on it. So we're cutting back and forth between her as a 17-year-old bride, essentially, and this grown-up version, which is, I think, a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And it also incorporates a lot of the older actresses from Bridgerton.
Yeah, Lady Agatha Danbury, Lady Violet Bridgerton. Brimsby is a great character. Sam Clement plays him is a young version, and then the older Hugh Sachs is like, it's very fun because once you caught on to what was happening, it's like, oh, okay. And it is enjoyable to sort of watch them go back and forth. I don't know that we're going to have an old king because I'm only about 4 or 5 episodes in, and we really haven't seen the old version of King George.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's only 6 episodes.
What?
For some, I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm almost done.
I know. It's a short.
Ooh.
I'm on 4 right now. I'm almost done with episode 4. So I, of course, checked. I'm like, wait, how is it? I thought it was 8 or 10. No, it's 6.
But they did that to us the last season of Bridgerton, I thought, where they kind of broke it up. Am I crazy? I felt like they...
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know. That might... No, that was Netflix. That was Stranger Things. Never mind.
Yes, that was Stranger Things.
So I do not feel like 6 episodes is enough. That's like crazy time. I mean, that's like, you got to give us a lot more than that. But I don't know. John, could you look up while I'm still commenting and tell me and make me sad if it's only 6 episodes?
In the meantime, I just want to say that the young actor who is playing George, because historically, the madness of King George, that King George actually had some kind of either illness or psychological thing that was being dealt with. And there's a famous movie that was made called The Madness of King George, which is amazing.
Right.
And that story is really what we're kind of dealing with. So it's Queen Charlotte being in love with George, who is kind of falling apart.
Right. Which the first indications of it felt like a massive panic attack he was having.
Yeah.
And...
It's so
because he
interesting,
does go from light to dark in his personality relatively quickly at times. You're like, okay.
Well, and I will say they are certainly not trying to be like a historical fiction type of show.
No, they
it's
almost
loosely based on. I think there was even at the beginning of the first episode, there was like, this is a story. Just a story and our version of this story or whatever.
Yes,
she says.
the narrator, played by Julia Andrews. She gave us the little listen, everybody.
Yeah,
this is not historically accurate completely.
Correct.
This is an inspiration, But they are peppering in probably some elements that are some historical elements.
That's the idea, that they're basing it on this King George and Queen Charlotte situation. What?
Oh my gosh! Wait. We got the young lady Danbury.
Oh yeah,
she's fabulous.
She's
and then when you
fabulous.
realize the counterpart, the older lady Agatha.
I know. I'm like, where did that cane come from?
Oh, who she just so over pronunciates every single word. And I'm like, actually, I could take a note from that. But in the earlier part, how we get introduced to her and her husband, I had to look him up because I'm like,
he doesn't look like that.
I was like, is that how he looks? I was alarmed.
He looks so bad.
I was
really
alarmed.
done him wrong. I mean, that poor man.
And I also thought, is that his mouth? Like, because it's so like downtoned. and he's boning her at every opportunity he can get. It is so alarming.
Are his teeth like grayed out?
He
Like,
is
what is happening?
literally
I don't understand.
a very good looking man.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They have done him wrong.
He's a Nigerian actor and he's actually good looking. So
I know.
they just really messed with his whole, and then he's deciding to do the very exaggerate the straight mouth. Like, I don't even know how
his hair. Oh my God. It's all just so much.
And I just love how she kind of just puts up with him. But it is, I think the casting is very fun. They're having a ball with it. Like I said, the costumes, the sets, the props. I mean, just fabulous. So Shonda Rhimes, you did it again. It pulled me in, and it better be more than 6 episodes. John, any indication?
No, it isn't.
It's only 6?
And no talk yet of season 2. So
There is no way I'm going to get my satisfaction. I only have 2 episodes left. Shonda Rhimes, I am annoyed with you now. You're going to leave me frustrated.
Well, it's not her fault.
Much like the Queen Charlotte, who I think is very frustrated sexually through some of this. I'm going to be frustrated. Yes, but I love it. Netflix. Highly recommend it. Now, in a real twist, but just as highly dramatic, I'm going to address something that I shamefully watch. And I wouldn't record it. So it was one of those things I would just catch it and then I'd be suckered into watching it over the years. But this season with its scandal, I have watched every episode. Vanderpump Rules.
Oh.
Now,
okay.
I don't think either one of you watched.
no, I don't.
No, but I'm very aware there's a cheating scandal that's going on.
Oh my God. So it is a spin-off of the Beverly Hills Housewives. So Lisa Vanderpump, who's one of the OGs of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills on Bravo, owned some restaurants. And very smartly, the Bravo execs went why don't we follow the lives of some of the bartenders, waitresses, hostesses, people that work in your restaurant?
And they're all very, very attractive.
Well,
so that's nice.
They are all very young. So, and living in Hollywood, and a lot of them had dreams or aspirations to be actors, singers, models. So, yes. And I do think probably, one of the requirements to work there was a certain level of attractiveness. So, the original cast, everybody slept with everybody. Everybody cheated on everybody. It was very incestual is not exactly the right word, but it was very, high school in the sense of no one could escape each other, because unlike the Housewives episode where they go back to their own houses or take breaks from each other, this was their job. They did work with each other and party with each other and get fights with each other. And when the cameras were put down, unlike a normal reality TV show, unless it's based around a family, they continued to work at the restaurant. So then when you pick it up the next season, they'd still be fighting or dating or who the hell knows what, right?
They were just very involved in each other's lives.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have one of the old school, from day one cast members, Tom Sandoval. He's,
is that why you said Scandival? Because it's his name.
I did not. I'm not taking credit for that. That is now.
You didn't coin it.
No.
But I'm just getting it now.
No,
so.
that's been the zeitgeist because, like I said, this is one of those shows I didn't necessarily tape to watch, but anytime I'd be flipping by and it was an episode I had not seen. I'm like, all right, what's going on? Because it felt like I am too old for this. Like, I mean, I did work in the food industry at some point, but like 20 years ago. So it's like, oh my God, like it almost gives you anxiety. You're like, oh my God, are they going to get the goat cheese balls out on the table? Or are they just going to stand there and talk in the back and let them go cold? Like, it was just like, oh my God, I can't take this. So now it's just one of those things where, you know, we followed this Tom Sandoval and other characters come in and out. We've been invested in him. And he's had this girlfriend, Ariana, like for 9 or 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They bought a house together, you know, they have their dog. I mean, very invested with each other. They wrote a cocktail cookbook together. I mean, it wouldn't be a cookbook. I guess a cocktail mixology book together. They're really in each other's world. Well, he turned 40 and had a midlife crisis, supposedly.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the other quote unquote characters on the show is one of Ariana's best friends. I guess her birth given name is Rachel, but she goes by Raquel, which you're like, is that really that much of a step up? I mean, they're both really, like, they're so close. You're like, what in the hell? But she broke up with her boyfriend on the show. Now, a lot of times they would sort of spin out and be gone, right? But the thing is, she works at the restaurant. So she's been able to stay in the social circle. And people felt like she's sort of like this heartbroken ex-beauty pageant. People have called her dumb. I don't know if dumb is the right word after this season, but, you know, they feel like she was like an innocent. And so they're like protecting her. Ariana was one of the main ones protecting her. So to get to the scandal part, Tom and this woman, Rachel, have had an ongoing affair behind Ariana's back for 7 months.
Ooh.
And pulling it off through some of it while the show was taping. And no one knew. And she'd be like toasting Ariana, cuddling up to her, asking her questions. And now knowing that she was already having the affair with the boyfriend is like, that's so diabolical. And so I'll just say I have some girlfriends who, you know, practically make a living off of commenting on reality television and this type of pop culture. So when this news hit, you know, the social media, it was like, I don't even know what to equate it to. In the reality world, it was like a bomb had dropped. It was
a volcano exploding.
A volcano. People could not believe it. They were out of their minds, which you're like, wait, they've all always acted like shitty people to each other. Tom and Ariana kind of misbehaved when there was a girlfriend that Tom was with. Like, they've always all been shitty to each other to some degree. This has been the longest relationship. It definitely seemed like it should last. And they had finished the season. They usually set up a party or some sort of finale event, whether it be a party at someone's house. This happened to be at the restaurant, of course. But they get everybody together, and there's usually a fight or two that ensues. And then there's a speech, and I love you, and blah, blah, blah. And then usually in reality shows, there's like a little like caption that goes up to say like, they've gone on, they're making up, they're breaking up, she's starting her business is like, you get a little recap. And that's how they get everybody in the same room to sort of do the finale. So they did that. And there was some really awkward moments where that Rachel woman was asking Ariana, like, are you still attracted to Tom? Do you still have sex with Tom?
Oh my God. What?
Because now as a viewer, we know, right?
Oh no.
So you're watching this through a totally different lens. Supposedly Bravo swears they did not go back and re-edit episodes. I'm like, bullshit, because some of this is way too like out of context. You might not have thought certain things were even that important, but now you're like, put that back in. That was insane. So they end the quote unquote season, put the cameras down, think they're done. And I guess the affair came about in a way that like he has a band, and ironically I've met through my son's school, one of the musicians in it. He has sort of a cover band. And he was out performing and he dropped his phone, and his girlfriend picked it up and was holding on to it. And she says women's intuition. She thought, I'm going to look through his phone. And I guess she had a feeling that he'd been cheating and questioned him before and looked through his phone before and did not catch him. This time, unfortunately, he didn't erase something and she caught him. And like you said, the volcano exploded.
Oh my gosh.
And then it was, TMZ. It was like national news. I mean, it was insane. It was like, it was almost like Jennifer and Brad. It was like, and Angelique Jolie. It was like, like people were shocked. So then we've had to watch the rest of the season knowing this information and the build up. They've given us teasers of this, like, the brawl that's going to happen at the reunion. And they had put the cameras down, like I said, the finale. And when this broke, they picked them back up and filmed one more episode of like them confronting each other. You know, she's basically saying, I wish you were dead. You're nothing to me. And he's saying, you know, I was going through a midlife crisis. Like I said, I was 40. I thought I'd lost my mojo. We haven't had sex 4 times in a year. Like, you know, this is a reality show. So they're just throwing it all the hell out there. But I, having worked in the reality world, all of us have worked on reality shows in different ways. This was like, oh my gosh, this might be too much. Like, oh, yikes. Like, this is just like the Tom guy. I'm like, how do you recover from this? I mean, this is not going to be going back to the restaurant like you all normally do and be like, table 5 needs a mojito. Like, I just don't know how you're going to go back to the regular world. Like next season, like, I don't know who's going to film with him, because that's one of the things in the reality world. A lot of times when a character or a cast member is gone the next season, it is because other cast members will not film with them.
Right.
And you could only do so much in a vacuum in a reality show, especially if it's an ensemble. So if everybody is not on his side and not going to film with him, that's going to be difficult. So we'll see. But that, I will say, that is, I can't. I shamed watch. I mean, it so sucked me in. But like I said, it's been national news. It's like totally been on the zeitgeist in the world of reality television. It's been one of the biggest stories.
Oh, huge!
In quite a while. You know, you kind of go, listen. There were no children involved. They were not married. They did not have children. It was a long-term relationship, and they had a house and all this and that. But you're like, you know, I hope they all can come to a better place. Listen, Ariana is. Like, the world has embraced her. The Globe has been amazing. She is rumored to be on maybe Dancing with the Stars. Like, it's going to work out for her just fine. And if she was only having sex 4 times a year, girl, you had to get out anyway. So, and so did he. So, in a way, it's like it all might be for the best. But the Tom and the Rachel, their redemption story is going to be real interesting if they get one on the show or publicly get one, right? So... yeah, so I watched Vanderpump Rules on Bravo, and I watched Queen Charlotte, just as dramatic, on Netflix.
Right. And we both, along with our sisters, went and saw Book Club, the next chapter.
The final chapter.
And then also Sweet Tooth on Netflix, and Hannah Gadsby, Something Special, her stand-up special, which is also on Netflix.
But then we all watched, also on Netflix,
Wow.
The Mother.
Wow, we did a lot of Netflix this week.
Hello, sponsor us.
Not Netflix, but so I saw it in the theaters Air, but is now on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
And currently still in the theaters, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Okay, so that's it for this episode. You can follow us on all of our social media at Podcast Watching. And thank you for listening to What We Are Watching.